Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Jane from Stripo and today we are talking about something every growing marketing team faces with: how to scale email production without sacrificing quality, consistency or collaboration. As organization expands, email workflows often became more complex, more brand, more stakeholders, more approvals and tighter deadlines can quickly create production bottleneck. That is why today we are exploring how Lions, the organization behind Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity, scales email production across multiple brands and teams. In less than 2 years, guys, the company onboarded 10 teams and more than 30 users. And they reduced dependency on external email production developers and improved cross-team collaboration and also built more scalable approach to email creation. Let me introduce our special guests today. I'm honored to do it. It's Olly Browning, the head of digital creative at Lions. Olly leads digital creative at Lions, where he managed email and production for a portfolio of global creative marketing brands. Previously, he worked across digital and print design, email marketing, and social media content through his own agency, Mighty Oak. Hello, Olly.
Hey,
Welcome. How are
yeah,
you
thank
doing
you.
today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's fun to actually finally get a chance to geek out about email and Stripo. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. And of course, my big honor to introduce you Dmytro Kudrenko, the founder and CEO of Stripo. Dmytro is entrepreneur with more than 25 years in software development, including 15 years in email marketing. He's an expert in email marketing automation and certified specialist in lead management and email messaging by Mick Labs. Hello, Dmytro. How are you doing? Thank you for joining.
Hello, nice to be here, and thank you everybody to joining us today.
And thank you guys for joining us also and taking your time to check this webinar session. So let me briefly introduce you our agenda of the session. It will be divided into two parts. The first part is the panel discussion, and the second part will be short Q&A in case you will have questions in the live chat. So do not hesitate, do not be shy, and ask us. Just drop your questions because I know you're curious of it. So with that, let's get started. Dmytro, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And I just want to say that for me, it's like very unusual webinar because of there are two reasons this matter for you. First, Olly runs email across 10 brands and clients and a real teamwork at scale. And also they run it on Stripe. So this like workflow bubble for me, it's like half a conversation with industry leader and half a customer conversation. So
Yes.
it's big honor for me. So thank you, Olly, for joining us today.
Oh, good.
And yeah, I would like to start from like your experience. You have worked across agencies and in-house team in your career. So how does the email production like different in different organizations? How it works in alliance with multiple brands and a lot of stakeholders from whatever you met in your previous experience?
I think working in-house is interesting because it's so like it's so different to agency side because when you're agency side, you're obviously trying to do a really, really good job for your client. But when you're in-house, you know your product and you know your sort of audiences, hopefully so much just deeper. And I mean, to go back to what you said at the start, it's funny because I never really intended to end up doing email marketing and in particular sort of email design. It was the design part that I just ended up liking so much. And I think I don't want to say it's like an overlooked channel because obviously so many companies use it, but I think good email is and really nice emails and really really sort of nice experiences don't always come as part of that. And so I think I'm pretty motivated by the idea of just sending like fewer but better comms, and I think like working like, and to go back to your point at the start, I never really intended for Stripe for 10 teams to 10 of our brands to be on Stripo at this point. It's that email is really powerful, but kind of with the right tools, and like there's so many ways you can send an email. So many of the like email service providers have their own sort of editing thing, but the barrier to entry can be quite high, or it can be quite unintuitive. And so everyone wants to do email marketing, but doing good email marketing, I think is like is harder to sort of nail. And I think actually doing it in-house feels better. But obviously, like every case is different.
Yeah, it's interesting, by the way. Nobody, from my experience speaking with a lot of email guys, nobody planned to be email marketer. Everybody has their own way into industry. But when you're there, you stay there for a long time and love what they do. You know, there is no faculty in marketing of email marketer. So nobody knows how to do this. We reinvent our profession. But, you know, in Alliance, your email is not just newsletters. They got like delegate through complex event planning, build anticipation before the festival, and keep people informed in real time. So how do you think about about other channels and how email is different?
I mean, so that was the thing. I started out in social media marketing, and I still like it. I still like how sort of connected it is, and you see replies from people. But I grew up on a small island in the middle of nowhere, and to like work for a creative agency there, you had to do a bit of everything. So I did a bit of copywriting, I did design, I went out and took pictures. And when I moved to London, that was kind of hard at first to doing all of it. It was kind of hard to find a similar role. And I think what I realized when I started working on emails was that it's a little bit of everything that I like. It's a little bit of marketing, but for me, we have so much more control over like the look and feel of a communication, and so much more flexibility in how long or short, and like having that much flexibility is kind of what makes email special to me. And also the fact it's still a technology that's really not changed that massively since the 90s is actually kind of what makes it probably difficult for you on a technical front, because there's so many devices and so many things to try and fix. But on the other hand, it makes it quite fun, because it's like, this is, you know, there's a reason it just consistently comes up as one of the best ROI marketing channels. And I think it's because you have just such a direct line to your customer. But in the same breath, to me, that means that you then have a responsibility to send emails that look nice, and you know, rather than just flooding inboxes.
Yeah, I see. And can you let's mention what is your technical stack of technologies? What are the tools and technologies you use to organize everything? So Stripo for email design for now. What you use for sending, for analytics, and others.
So we use Marketo or Adobe to sort of as our ESP. Analytics, I think we use Google. Like, I am not so much on the analytics side. It's always been my like getting the right numbers as well, hearing how a campaign did, but without like so much granularity that you struggle to actually do anything with it. So yeah, I'm not so sure on the web front, but I definitely know that we're sending out emails from Marketo. But I think we're really we're always trying to
get
analytics that are actually useful to us.
So now you have like a Stripo, and then export to Adobe, and then all other tools for analytics. You just have numbers in a feedback. But how it was earlier before migrating to a Stripo? What did you use? And did you remember some specific moment when you found that all workflow have some problems? Maybe it was with the time of production, or maybe with some last-minute changes and a collaboration and asking some third-party teams. So how it was, how it's now?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge we had was that we had a contract with a different email marketing platform. It's not one that you sort of commonly find if you're just looking for one. I think which was okay for the longest time, but then I joined as a freelancer and I'd sort of built my agency on doing email marketing. And so I came in and the platform sort of was okay, but if I wanted to change something in the footer, for example, that was a change that I had to request and go to a team, and it would take ages, and like and that's, you know, when you come into something as a freelancer and you sort of see how a process has been, but you also know what it could be. I found that I basically just sort of found it frustrating. And when I joined Lions full time, it was basically with the premise that I would like try and improve this system, because what actually happened was, except for me and a couple of colleagues, we were the only people who could do anything to email or were brave enough to go in and try and change something. And that just isn't sustainable. I came in, I'd made some really nice emails, but then kind of ended up in this situation where I couldn't pass the work on to anyone, or and so that became quite challenging. And so it was more just these little frustrations that built up and built up and built up, that like I was like, I don't want to spend any more money on this platform to make new templates when it's a platform that I just don't think is as useful and collaborative, because I used Stripo before, I knew what was out there. So it was more just a case of trying to demonstrate what it could be instead.
Okay, it's interesting. Where did you have a more conversation? In like planning an idea discussion, or in a moment of a production, or post-production when you have a testing and last-minute changes, where it was more painful for you?
I think because you have to have this step where an email is exported, and then we have a whole team who do QA and scheduling on it. And that is something that I've never worked for a company this big before. That is great. It's great to have that resource. It's great to have people who look at data, because I'm not good with numbers. But then that also introduces like complication. And when we're trying to work so quickly and so fast, sometimes having to like lose a couple of hours for something to be QA'd, and then it come back, and then I have to redo it and re-export it and have that, like, there's so many actual little steps, which I think when people think of digital anything, they think it's really easy to just go and swap something. So yeah, technically it is, but process wise, this can add a day. And so that was more the challenge.
Yeah, it's interesting because of, sometimes some fixes you need 1 minute to fix, but because of you never read the message immediately, and when sometimes you have a lot of changes, you change one quickly, but you don't report about it, or when you report somebody doing another task, or maybe went for holidays, and sometimes it takes forever. Exactly, yeah. I feel this is the same pain, and as big a team. So the more painful this collaboration stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how you manage this. So, and just to have some impression number. So you already onboarded 10 brands and more than 30 users in short period of time. I think it's pretty big thing. So you constantly have something new, you have changes in a team. How usually you onboard your new users or new brand? How your process is organized?
Do you mind repeating that? I'm sorry if it's my connection, but could you repeat
sorry,
that?
it's not connection, it's my English.
No,
so I want to say that you have a big team, a lot of people, and some like going out, some you have to include into your team. So how your onboarding process is organized? So do you have some special procedure?
it could always be better. Like I wish it's a hard one to get as well, because what's been such a relief to me, like we've been working so fast that actually I think a real testament to Stripo is that I've been able to sort of invite people to it. And I always say, just go have a play around, or like just go, because you can't accidentally send something to 1 million people. You can go in, have a play around, just see, just like get a feel for it. And I think, again, testament to Stripo, it's so much more intuitive. It's so much more like a Google Doc than writing HTML, that like I would like to, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how best to onboard people, because I also think making people sit through like an hour of like training where it's like, okay, now we're gonna add text, and I found it so hard because it's like, well, there's a big button that says export at the top, and I feel quite patronizing to say, well, if we want to export it, you press the big green button at the top that says export. So I kind of like letting people find out on their own, but then I'm trying to like work on some like, I guess, checklists and sort of like tutorial, sort of like learn as you go kind of things. But I think it's just the reason we have 30 people on it now is because, especially compared to the last system, it's just more intuitive, like being able to hop in, edit something in the actual email, I think has made it a lot less scary and sort of unapproachable than other sort of systems.
I see. And before you switching the Stripe, or maybe somewhere in intermediate part, you use Figma a lot. And a lot of our customers do the same, creating a design in a Figma, and then trying to weigh how to adopt it in a like controlled high quality HTML and email. And you remove the Figma from a process or use it in just for email, for layout discussions. How it happened for your team?
I mean, so that was the challenge we had before, where like everything started in Figma, or like rather we brought it into Figma because that's where people could just add comments, and it was a bit more like you could look at the entire thing. But the challenge of doing that is that you then kind of force it to be on the creative team, force it to start with design, when actually quite often it's helpful to me if a marketer comes to me and sort of shows me what they want to do. So having it only in like, and then also like on an accessibility front, if we just start where everything is an image, that email is just genuinely less accessible. So actually having a nicer template that people can start and play around with is it just makes it, removes the barriers to now it has to go to creative, now it has to do that. Like it removes those sort of layers and sort of stops between the work happening.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest problems. Designers have a different view on email production. They don't really care about all the variety of things they have to adopt for email, and what you can do and what you cannot do. Yes, but from other side, a lot of designs they do not only for email but also for different other channels, for Facebook ads, for so how they agreed? Did you have any resistance from them to prepare design in a different way? They love to do for years.
I wouldn't say so, because actually, like, I'm quite lucky in that the templates we had before, again, were like for probably like 2 of the 10 brands we've now onboarded. So we were just limited from the start. And I think it is a slightly different design language. Like email has, like, again, you just have full creative control over it if you really want. But actually, I think demonstrating how that means we can get things so much more on brand, and then also use other assets better. Like we can use the same asset that we use for Facebook can become our hero image, or things like we can reference the design language of the website, and then it actually feels more familiar. So it wasn't really a challenge to sell it in. It's more that it's a new design language that we might not have in our brand guidelines. And there's little tricks, that you have to do to, like, yeah, people would love to have a video in an email, but I'm afraid it's tech from the 90s. It's just not possible. Trying to get a GIF under like 2 meg is I'll call it a fun challenge, but it's part of the charm. So it's more just making sure people understand that I think is more.
So we all would like to have very rich design with heavy images, animation, and videos and everything, especially for your kind of project where creativity makes a lot of sense. But you mentioned like brand kit and maintaining the brand consistency with your like way how you build emails in Launch sounds like it's like a process. It's not very complicated, but where you met that a lot of people do things differently, how hard to keep all brand consistent, and what kind of challenges or errors you met, and where it was. I don't know, in the colors, in the typography, in a layout, in a mockups, where you think is the biggest challenge for you to keep everything consistent.
I think that's the thing. It's like, I think when we do this, when you do email anything like as a career, there are things that you just sort of look out for. There's sort of things that you like, there's layouts that you have in your head that come from working in it. And like, I think that is like, when we talk about consistency, it's like, if you give people the right kit of parts, like if you only give people the font that is your brand's font, and if you only let them choose the colors that are your brand's colors, the fears about things being off brand go way down. Like just seeing something in the like the right font or the closest fallback font, because it's email, is like immediately just like makes something feel more on brand. And actually, if people can just start building emails on their own, but just with the confidence that they're not going way off page, then that actually just will freeze up more of my time to be able to come into an email and be like, okay, this is great. It's on brand, but actually let's adjust like the hierarchy a little bit. Let's bring a button up top. And then actually just not having to just put everything in an image or in Figma means that even if they put together a pretty like rough, unfinished like skeleton, it's way more clear to me where I can hop in and bring the design skills that I've built up for the past 10 years into it, So yeah, it's just making sure people have the right, and they don't have to go looking for a hex code or even know what a hex code is, right? Just like give them the color, like give them the tools that they need, and just make sure that the process goes past a designer or a copywriter before it goes out.
I see. Do you have only some like knowledge base you organize and share for your team? So maybe the list of experiments you did, and by the way, how many experiments you do and how big it is a part in your teamwork. So when you learn something, how you keep this sharing across all the team to reuse, and in different brands, it's a different rules. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, and also just like analytics in general can be tricky. And number one, getting the number two, sort of figuring out like actual reliable things to do off the back of that. But I would say that's something we'd like to start doing more. And I think now that the actual just creation of of an email. We do really quite fast turnarounds. You know, when our festival is on, like it was last week, we're just all getting back to life now after that last week. You know, we're working really fast. We're turning things around really fast there, that we don't always take a, well, certainly not then, but like now that we're sort of back into business as usual, it's identifying where we can pause for a minute and start testing more. And even like, there's so many things we could test. I think it's more making sure that we don't make we don't put ourselves at risk by trying to do that, but also figuring out like what is useful for us to test, what can we learn from our audience, maybe through email. So it's still quite early days on that front for me with Lions, but I'm really keen to even just like getting people to share emails that they've seen that they like is really useful for me, because it's like, well, then how can I sort of borrow some of these ideas? How can we put our own spin on some of these, like whether it's layouts or just sort of like designs, and then just sort of like also just having regular meetings, which we're doing more now as well, about from our digital marketing team about how did this email do, like what should we try next. So it's as much the data as it is the creative, but I think we're getting better at putting that together, but there's always more we can do.
Yeah, you know, brand guideline and the rules, usually people think about it like it's a one-time deal. So you have to define it, and after that, nobody really owns this, nobody supports and keep the all documentation updated. How it's for you when you have a lot of brands? Who is own all this like brand setup support, and how often is changed?
It's really tricky because like you know, I used to be so much of the mindset that like, give me a brand guidelines document, give me a PDF, and I can run with it. That's what I always liked as a designer. But I think it's just foolish now for us to even try and like, when like digital is a different brand, like it's a slightly different design language, it's a different brand guideline, and trying to just keep a PDF updated, I just think is so, it's just something we haven't got time for. And also I just think isn't something that is necessarily valuable, when instead, if I can just link you to all of the emails that we've made for the past 6 months, that's like a better education, that's like a better resource in terms of, okay, well, what brand assets we have available to us. And yeah, and I am quite a brand guardian. Like I've been selfishly, one of the big reasons I wanted to move from our old email builder platform was because I knew on the browsers that support it, we can just do so many nicer things with fonts. And in the same breath, not only does our email look more on brand, but it loads quicker because it's live text, not baked into an image, and it's more accessible because it's live text. And so I think it just takes teams to see what's possible, and then it's like it's not a question. It's like, okay, yeah, let's get this in place. Again, I didn't plan to bring 10 of our brands now onto Stripo, but I think some of the other teams saw it and were like, oh, that's unlike anything we've sent before, and they all want a little piece of it. So just trying to stay on top of that is kind of my new challenge, but it's a way better one.
See, it's interesting. By the way, how big is the role of AI now in your processes, and maybe validation of some rules, that everything fits the rules? I don't know. Do you use any AI generation or validation for testing or creation in your work?
I think so. So right now, like certainly not in the not that I see in terms of like designing and creating an email. I think I don't know from our like digital marketing analytics team on sort of, I'm pretty sure there are tools that they're using again to help us have these meetings now about like what can we do, what little things can we change in an email to maybe make it more effective. But because we run like a physical event and we rely so much on the like literally sort of award-winning creativity that we're sort of responsible for. I think in terms of the creation, we're being very considered about how we use it, but we do have like our own in-house AI tool. It's quite interesting sometimes just sort of plotting out, even just for myself, like, hey, this is how I'm thinking of laying something out. It can be really, really useful there, just as like an extra pair of eyes. But yeah, it's sort of like a space that we're sort of excited to sort of see where it can go.
Yeah. See, and you just mentioned that you have very specific business, which is real events, and it's not just an event; it's event about the creativity, and it's how you try to build your email for brands that celebrates the creativity, the best creative works. So how do you keep your own emails feeling creativity, ambitions, rather than just functional? And certainly in the condition of a constant pressure. So what is your creativity ambitions in your design?
Well, so the first one, like, I believe this really strongly. I think no brand should send an ugly email, right? Because actually, we bang on so much about about the ROI of email, and and I still think it's pretty valuable. I mean, I do it daily, but I still think it's pretty valuable when I give a company my email address, and so I think we kind of have a responsibility to send things that are nice to look at and nice to read, and also just really put their user first. Now, that's how I approach any brief that I get from our marketing team. Is I will start it from like, what's the one thing we want our users to know, and what's the one thing we ideally want them to do, because I think we can all fall into this trap of like, I certainly treat all of my emails like they're my own children, but then you have to face reality, and that half of them people are probably just going to immediately put into their trash without looking at it, and that's just the reality of the work that we do. But if someone does open our email, how do we like be contextual? So like, again, our event was last week. We realize most of our delegates are going to be opening, like we sent a morning kind of briefing, they're going to be opening it on their phone. So let's prioritize making stuff really accessible, make it really quick loading. Let's keep images small. And I think it's just sort of like, I think that is like a better, it just immediately helps emails feel more relevant, and just sort of appreciating I think starting with what your majority customer is going to look like. What would your ideal customer, what are they going to be doing? Like, how would they interact with this? And I think that's the best place to start, rather than what do we need this email to do for us? Easier said than done, but I think fewer but stronger emails are just always going to be better than just flooding, just having like a set series of creatives who just run again and again.
Yeah, it's very important thought that like all people and the marketers especially is very selfish. So we want something from this email, but we have to think what our recipients, what our customers, what our
and I think that like both
want to have from it.
Yeah, like both are always that like we have to like accept that like we are interrupting someone's, like and it's so email is so not novel anymore that it doesn't. I've never even tried to be inbox zero, but like still standing out is hard enough. But then I never know like what the stats are, but if the last one I saw that like people read an email for 7 seconds, that's our brief. If someone's going to look at this for 7 seconds, what are we going to tell them? And sometimes, like, of course, how you measure the success of that as well is I think should be beyond just, well, did they click it, did they open it? Because that's the least we can do.
Yeah, you just mentioned that people, nobody want to care. So nobody can keep the email that all email is read. And the Gmail and Apple did these promotional tabs, notification tabs, social tabs, and we're trying to prioritize first our priority emails. And where your emails land mostly, to promotional or to notification, onto priority. How you plan to adopt, how to win attention of your customers in the folder they land.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah, and it's one that we can never be even 100% certain about. Like I think sometimes even just like, especially with those sort of auto recognize, like we can't be absolutely certain where it's going to end up. And to be honest, like even then, wherever it does end up, we still have to stand out. We still have to really get our customer. And I think that's like everyone I know still checks their promotions tab. So it's not like it's being buried. We just need to make sure that like if it does end up in there, how do we still make it like something people want to click on?
How much did you spend if you would have 100%? How you much spend on the message in a subject line, in a pre-header, and the whole content? Where is the most important place for you?
So again, this is the thing. We've been working so quickly that like even doing stuff like A/B subject line testing is something that we sort of like really need to like cover. Like we've started doing more, but like even then it was just like we need to just create this. We need to like move beyond this to like just trying to get stuff out into let's just throw stuff around and just see what gets a good response. Let's test something long versus something short. But actually, I actually think starting with the subject line is a really, really good place to start an entire brief, because if you start with that, then that kind of can instruct the rest of your email. Like obviously when our events are on, we're trying to pack a lot of information in there, and that's okay. We're never going to have one CTA. But when it's like business as usual stuff, I think really challenging ourselves to be like, okay, what's the subject line here? What's the call to action? Is actually the best starting point to then actually create the rest of an email.
It makes a lot of sense. If you cannot explain your email in like one subject line, it means that you have very complex idea to push, so it's hard to sell. If you can do this in one subject line plus call to action, it's fine.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to that before I forget, because it's been on my mind a lot lately, is when you're working in-house as well, that is like one of the things about working in-house is that you know your products really well, you care about them so much, like you see why they're so great and why people should buy them. But you have to remember that when you're just like walking around or you're at the supermarket and you're looking at your emails, nobody else cares that much. And it's the reality. And it's like, okay, we know what our products are, but actually to assume that everyone else does is quite dangerous. And actually, even though someone might have been on our mailing list for ages, doesn't necessarily mean that they know or have the right idea about what our products are. So we have to constantly reintroduce ourselves and make it as simple as possible for that, right? You know, and actually, if the content itself is compelling enough, people will go to the website, they'll work out how to access it. But like, let's lead with the content, let's lead with the new thing that we're bringing our user, rather than just like flat out promoting. Like,
Yeah,
focus on what the user gets out of it, rather than, and that can still be marketing. We can still achieve marketing goals with that, but we can also put our user first and make sure that we're bringing them something that
absolutely.
is useful, like is why we're marketing it to them.
Yeah. Okay. And just before we go to the final question for me, I just want to ask you, if you organize, what is the reason? So what you get from organizing your work in a better way? What you received as a result? More emails, so you scale it more, or maybe you have to start to think about more strategic things. So what you received from your process optimization? More work or more space for global thinking?
It's it was a little bit of both at the start, because brand after brand would be like, okay, we want a bit of this, and it would be sort of setting them up. Again, I think I definitely want to start spending more of my time on the actual onboarding, because we've been so busy that I will invite someone to Stripo and be like, good luck, you know, off you go. But actually making sure that they know my team, like, we're always here as a resource. We will always be like, I always want to be sort of like sort of final checks. It was my birthday last month, and my team made me a little graphic that said Stripo Daddy, and I guess I'm Stripo Daddy, like, in the company. You know, the stuff is coming to me for like final checks, and but that is kind of what I want it to be. Like, I want people to feel empowered enough to just go in, lay out the kind of emails that they want, because they probably know their audiences better than I do. But then I also can go in and bring that sort of email marketing expertise to like tweak it a little bit and make suggestions. So at the moment it's more work, but in the same breath, it is better work, and it's more it's more on brand than we've ever had before. And the fact that more people are just able to like jump in and do it at the same time is a little bit scary, because I was working on Stripo on my own for 2 years, and then I let them have it and was terrified at sort of letting it out into the world. But they've only gone on to make great things that together we can just sort of help each other to do good work.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you. And if you could give one piece of advice to a team at a larger organization that only started their way to adopt processes, what it would be?
The biggest one would just be the final checks. Like, however you're making an email, like, that's all fine. If you can, I would always say wait a day between finishing an email. And really, to be fair, any piece of marketing, like any piece of creative, give yourself a day, because it's amazing sometimes when you come in the next morning, and you know, that gut-wrenching feeling sometimes of an email sending. And I'm really thankful that we've been really, really happy. Like, there's been no glaring major issues on really anything that we've sent lately, which is both a testament to the platform, but then also our team, that we're just on it. But if you can give yourself that little lead time, you can give yourself 24 hours before something goes out, it's really good. Even just like whether it's for typos, or whether you just come back in and you're like, actually, is this too long? Is this too wordy? Can we just simplify this massively? Giving it to fresh eyes, or just giving yourself a little break and coming back in, I think is, I hope that's like not just like a sort of get out of jail answer, but it's like I just think like the teams know what they're doing. It's just making sure that when your customer receives it, it's really the best thing you can be saying to them. It's the best email you could have done for them.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great advice. And we have sometimes like about 10 minutes, and we have some questions from the audience. Jane Bizas, can you lead? We can hear you, but we appreciate it.
I really
Yes.
apologize for this. It's my internet. It's good that we have a questions because it brings us live discussion online. So I will just pop it up and read. So our viewer Hitch Harati is wondering, I'd like to know wherever it's better to use a third-party ESP or the ESP built into that CRM.
I can answer this really quickly and really simply by saying the ESPs that have been built into CRMs have been so terrible, which is how I've ended up here, which is why I am like so ride or die for Stripo, because when you use the ESP, like when you use that, you like there's so many. If that's the only thing you see, you have like it's so easy to like not realize how good you can have it. And so I would absolutely say that like it's actually not better to just stick with what you've got. And actually had I not been looking for third-party things that could improve our workflows, which Stripo absolutely has massively, even just an autosave that works properly was kind of life-changing to a few of my team, that like I really like I'll always say like I think everyone should just always be looking for tools that make their lives easier, because it can be hard to sell in, especially when you're at a company as big as ours. But I think the minute someone sees what you could have, sees what you could have, they get it immediately. Like they might not care about what ESPs or CRMs, but the minute you show people what you could do, it kind of sells it for you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very good answer. I would only add here that individuals and interactions over processes and tools. It's I always think in this direction. So tools is important, but most important, how quickly you can listen your audience and your employees and all the idea, and what is the time from idea to production. So just minify them, and doesn't matter your stack technology if you can do it in efficient way. So yes, it's good.
Great. We have another question also. Laura is asking, how do you balance giving each brand enough flexibility while still maintaining consistent email branding across all teams? Very good question.
If you're happy for me to start, I'll say again, it's like it's giving people the right, like not completely locking it down, but for example, like obviously in Stripo you can choose from loads of pre-built templates. They're great. I don't want to give our team that because we've got our own brand, and like so actually for me being able to just like make a new template element, like we've got a great starting point. We've got like a great starter template, or even just copy one of our last emails, because I trust us to dupe things now rather than duplicating something from 2021 and it be completely wrong. Like, so it's just like having a good like starter pack, and then just being able to also like have a color picker that's already got all of our brand colors in there. Not having a choice of fonts, so you're always using our brand font. That is kind of, and then it's like I trust people. Like not everyone is a designer, but I think everyone knows when something looks bad, and again, just having that process step so that it always goes to a designer or it always gets signed off is kind of enough. Just to like not lock it down completely, but give people enough flexibility that they can go make things themselves.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And our last but not in the least, Team Clarity Notes is wondering. So, what is the most common mistakes you see team make when trying to scale email production?
Dmytro, do you want to start with that one, just because I'm still thinking a little bit?
Yeah, first of all, we have to understand what is a scaling email production. So scaling means you send one email and now you want to send 3 emails for different personas or different segments or different something, or you want to support more brands with the same processes, or you want to, you send one email, you want to do a series of emails. The idea, what is a scaling? If you mean scaling in a number of teammates, so more processes, more everything. So you have to think first, what is important for you to keep consistent. So because of, every team is storming, forming, performing, and you always start from a storming. And the storming can ruin every process you built before if you don't control this and if you start to scale everything like in one day. So you have to build a roadmap, understanding what is the most important for you, how you can onboard and keep all your processes. And also, you have to be open for the new challenges because of when you scale, you definitely will have a new processes. You don't need to keep everything like it was earlier. It would never be like this because of it's happened with even with a family. When you have a new baby, everything is changed. So all your plans and your previous roadmaps going in completely different way. So the same with scaling, which is very challengeable word for me. I don't know if Olly want to add something here.
Yeah, I'd say the same. It's like really get people to like define scale first, because actually is the objective that we need more people to be able to make emails on their own. Is it like a team thing or is it like a growth thing? Because I will always like more emails are never the answer, I would say, but actually like how like again, it's like finding those processes, like if there's like if you've got lots of teams and they're just going to go out and start building emails anyway, then the best thing you can do is just give them again those tools, give them like what they need, and eventually bring everyone into the same tool, which is how I've ended up onboarding 10 teams now. But it's exciting because it also means we're making the sexiest emails we've ever sent for those 10 brands. But I think that's the thing, it's like defining what scale means, because I've certainly not scaled the number of email experts we have, but I have scaled the number of people who like the number of teams we've empowered to just go in and sort of create the stuff that they want to be bringing their audience, and then that gives us the time to hop in and like tie it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have other question, but the question, I think they're repeating this in the different way. So
Yes.
everybody want to be prepared for scaling. It's it is a challenge, at least to understand why you need this and do you really need this. And when you have answer for this, no hesitation, just go forward. You will see the result.
So I guess we have no any questions yet. Yeah. If our viewers will see the record of the session, they will for sure put their questions in the commentary section. So we will get back to this, I think. So this brings us to the end of today's webinar, and I want to say thank you, my special appreciation to Olly for joining us today and providing and sharing Lions team like experiences, insights in their scaling and production. Especially, I like the idea of 7 seconds and constant reintroducing yourself and reinventing yourself. This was very valuable. Yeah, and I want to appreciate Dmytro for participation in this discussion also and sharing his thoughts about this. And also, I want to say thank you to all viewers who watched this session till the very end and participating in discussion. Also, guys, if you like such type of the content, please put that thumbs up to this video, and of course share it to your colleagues that also might have a question and find this discussion valuable for them and for their approach to the scaling email production in their environment. So as I have already said, this session will be here on YouTube in the record. If you watching the recording, please proceed to commentary section and ask your questions, guys. So thank you to our guests, and thank you for users. Yeah.
Thank you, and Olly, happy birthday for you. I know that it's too late, but anyway, happy birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
Oh, look, confetti. Wow. And thank you for building Stripo. It's genuinely changed my life.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you for so
it's a
warm
big
words.
pleasure and honor for us.
Okay, great. Have a great day, everyone, and see you soon in the next videos. Please subscribe to our channel. Do not miss our near updates.